There are a couple of rules that Disneyland and the Disney parks in general stick very close to. Keeping the magic inside the berm and keep thematic timelines intact. But this week, walking through the resort, it feels like Disneyland is straying away from these rules. From new glitches in the Galaxy's Edge timeline to literally walking through backstage areas to get from point A to point B, the resort is in a massive state of transition. Today, we're looking at the closures, the expansions, and the very strange signals pointing toward April 29th. Let's start with the most significant thematic shift. When Galaxy's Edge opened in 2019, the creative mandate was clear. This land exists on a specific day in the Star Wars timeline, somewhere between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. That meant no Darth Vader, no Luke Skywalker, and definitely no Empire-branded merchandise. The logic was total immersion, but look at this. We're seeing Darth Vader merchandise appearing openly at First Order Cargo in Galaxy's Edge. In the strict canon of Batuu, this shouldn't exist here, but with the April 29th date looming and a timeline reset, this feels like the first deliberate softening of those rules. Why do these t-shirts matter? Because it signals that guest experience is finally winning the war against strict narrative. The guest demand for the broader Star Wars franchise, in particular the original trilogy, is overriding the specific story of Batuu. If the Galactic Empire is bleeding into the First Order era, we're looking at a fundamental shift in how Imagineering handles immersion going forward. The story is becoming more flexible throughout the land. And if the narrative berm is breaking in Star Wars, DCA's virtual berm is breaking as well. Because of the massive Porto's Bakery construction in downtown Disney, traffic is currently being routed through Disney California Adventures Backstage. Now, for most people, this is just a detour, but for us, this is a rare look at the machine behind the magic. Generally, Disney avoids having guests walk through the backstage areas. Walt Disney famously designed the berm specifically to prevent the visual intrusion of the real world. Seeing the messy backstage infrastructure exposed to day guests, the unthemed asphalt, the temporary fencing, the industrial side of show buildings highlights just how aggressive this construction cycle has become. They're requiring so much real estate for the expansion and construction itself that they've run out of room for normal guest flow through the resort. It's ugly and it's temporary, but it's just more visual evidence that the Disneyland Resort is in a very busy transition phase right now. While parts of the park are messy, other parts are moving towards an interesting harmony. Mr. Lincoln has returned to the Opera House, but he's now officially alternating with the Walt Disney Imagineering Life animatronic show. This building has a rich history. It started as the lumber mill for the park's construction, became the Opera House, and since 1965 has been the home of Lincoln. When the Walt Disney animatronic was announced, fans worried that Walt would evict Lincoln. Instead, we have a rotation. I feel this is huge. It transforms the Opera House from a static attraction into a rotating repertory theater. It proves that Disneyland can honor its roots, keeping the 1964 World's Fair legacy alive, while leveraging a new attraction in the exact same footprint. It's a very smart operational move, effectively doubling the attraction count of this building without laying a single new brick. Speaking of efficiency, we have a survivor. Against all rumors of demolition for the upcoming Avatar experience, Monsters Inc. Mike and Sully to the Rescue has been officially extended to 2027. I took a ride through to check on the attraction itself. The animatronics are still in good shape. The vehicle's moving along the track well. This ride sits in the most threatened plot of land in DCA, the old Hollywood backlot. Every armchair Imagineer has speculated on the fate of this area for at least the last decade. The fact that they are keeping this operational for another full year suggests a couple of things. One, the replacement project is either delayed or Disney just requires the Eastern Gateway parking structure and transit center farther along in its progress before they tear up the existing bus loop. And two, with so much capacity down elsewhere, they simply can't afford to close a high capacity dark ride right now. And they need that capacity because if you look at the refurbishment board, we're in a heavy maintenance cycle. Jungle Cruise is down, standard for the season. Grizzly River Run is undergoing its annual winter refurbishment. Oga's Cantina is probably going through a transition to incorporate original trilogy elements. But the Main Street facade work is interesting. This is main entry infrastructure. When you combine this facade work on Main Street with ride system work in Adventureland, you get a park that feels under construction from the moment you walk in. It's a necessary evil, but it affects the energy when you first walk in. It feels more functional and industrial. But in general, this industrial energy is building towards something. Over in Avengers Campus, there appears to be slow but steady progress every time I visit for the Infinity Defense and Stark Flight Lab structures. Meanwhile, the Fantasyland Theater is deep in its conversion for Bluey's Best Day Ever, opening March 22nd. This is a smart move, taking an underutilized theater and turning it into a massive draw for the family demographic. Bluey is currently a massive global franchise. And finally, the booths for DCA's Food and Wine Festival are already in place for March 6th. It's a reminder that while the construction walls are up and timelines are breaking, DCA's role as the resort's festival destination continues to move along. Disneyland is messy right now, but usually the mess comes right before the next golden era. The rules, the berm, the timeline are being bent so the park can grow. I'll be tracking the April 29th timeline shift closely, so stay tuned, because I think it's the start of a whole new era for Galaxy's Edge.